Live from London, this is Business Today with me, Sally Bundock. So we start in the UK, where we are just one day away now from the government's crucial budget, when we'll finally find out what is in it. But until we have the cast iron details of how the Chancellor plans to plug the £20 to £30 billion hole in public finances, speculation continues. And one of the latest areas thought to be a target could be the introduction of a so-called mansion tax. It's been reported in the press this week that it's thought to be a new annual levy on properties worth more than £2 million. And this would be worked out by revaluing properties in the top council tax brackets and could impact more than 100,000 homes. Most of them are in London and the South East. And the money raised, which it's thought would go directly to the Treasury, could be some £400 million a year. So actually, in the grand scheme of things, that's seen as small fry compared to the government shortfall. But some property experts are warning it could have a big negative impact on the housing market. So let's pick the brains of Henry Pryor, property buying consultant for London and the South East England areas. Good morning to you. So it's being widely reported now about this idea of a mansion tax. What are your thoughts?
Well, one more sleep until we find out exactly what the Chancellor has in mind for the housing market. We've seen that a steady stream since the summer of speculation about various ways she might try and milk the housing market for some revenue. This latest idea has some merit, but it will inevitably destabilise the market, at least in the short term. And indeed, it may well have an impact on prices, perhaps pushing prices down by as much as 5% in the short term, depending on the detail that we learn tomorrow.
Now, people watching across the country might think, well, you know what, I don't have much sympathy for those in London or the South East whose properties are worth £2 million or more. Talk us through the impact this could have and the ramifications.
Well, the implications could be quite significant because, as we know, we refer to the housing market as a housing ladder, first-time buyers climbing onto the lowest rung of the ladder and moving up as they change jobs and their family circumstances change. And if you knock out several rungs towards the top end of the ladder, it means that people can't continue to move up the ladder and to downsize when they get older and their family starts to dwindle, therefore stopping people from moving up the ladder and creating space at the bottom from the finite pool of properties we have. It will also, Sally, I suspect, as I say, have an impact both on prices and on rents at a time when we know that housing is a big issue for the government. They're trying to build desperately lots more homes. But if you start to freeze the housing market, stop people from being able to move, and if you don't balance that with perhaps some other changes that the Chancellor has been rumoured to be looking at, like scrapping or amending stamp duty land tax, then the implications for the market in general could be quite significant.
And talk us through, Henry, the impact this budget's had on the housing market anyway in the run-up, because this is not the only sort of thought out there in terms of how she could play with the housing sector.
Well, there are, as you rightly say, Sally, I'm afraid there are some within the housing industry who would, frankly, welcome anything the Chancellor might actually stand up and say tomorrow, because we've had 6 months of rumour and speculation, kites being flown, various sources being quoted with changes perhaps to capital gains tax, changes to stamp duty land tax, perhaps scrapping stamp duty land tax. These are all things that create uncertainty in the minds of buyers and sellers. And as a result, we've seen the market start to seize and to stop functioning, particularly towards the higher or upper end of that of the market. That in turn has had a massive impact on associated businesses. Remember that there's not just estate agents who are in the firing line when it comes to the housing market grinding to a halt. There's lots and lots of other people involved: trades, businesses, builders, painters and decorators, lawyers. These are all people who see business starting to slow, and indeed at the top end of the market, as I say, start to come to a grinding halt. So anything the Chancellor might give us in terms of clarity will help buyers and sellers to at least plan what they want to do through the remainder of this year, and obviously to make plans going forward into the new year.
OK, as you say, Henry, just one more sleep. I wonder how we will all sleep. How will Rachel Reeves sleep? Thank you for your time today.